So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover that day's newspaper in a very short span of time within 20 minutes. Now, the relevance of this lecture series is quite significant. You need to follow this lecture series if you want to cover your current affairs portion for civil services examination. Any civil services examination, whether it's UPSC or state civil services examination. So make this lecture series a part of your daily routine. Be consistent, be regular with it. And I promise I won't take much of your time because I will be covering your entire day's current affairs in just 20 minutes. So taking 20 minutes out of your daily schedule is not that big of a deal. So make sure you take 20 minutes out of your daily schedule and you'll gain a lot out of it because important news items of your newspaper would get covered in these 20 minutes. All right? Okay. So today we are going to be covering August 8th, 2024's newspaper, and the important news items that featured in today's newspaper are as follows. Today's topics. Okay. First of all, there have been wildfires in the North American continent, USA and Canada specifically, and it has led to the formation of Pyrocumulonimbus Clouds. Now, what are these Pyrocumulonimbus Clouds? We'll talk about them. Then recently, Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskars have been announced, and various scientists in India have been nominated for this award. And this is the first award. This is going to be the inaugural session of this award. Okay, so for the very first time, Government of India has established these awards. Then we'll talk about what is wein. You all know about the sad news of the disqualification of Vinesh Fogat, our only hope of getting gold in wrestling in this Olympics. Now, she was disqualified because she was 100 grams overweight. Now, what are these weigh-ins? What is this weight category? We'll talk about this. This is important because sports-based questions are also now being asked in UPSC Prelims. So we'll study this portion as well. And in the end, we'll talk about portal for technician entry. Now, this online portal would allow easy access or not easy access, easy allowance of visas for foreign technicians to come to India and or consult for manufacturing machines. So basically, there are various Chinese machines that are being used in India's manufacturing plants. Now, India wants Chinese technicians to come to India, and these Indian manufacturers, basically, not the government, but these Indian factory owners want Chinese technicians to come to India and help them with these machines. But their visa process is very long, especially after the Galwan Valley issue. All right. So government has created this portal for easy giving of visas to these technicians. We'll talk about this, okay? And we'll also talk about the relevance of Chinese investments in India's manufacturing story, okay? All right. Now, these are the four topics that were of relevance in today's newspaper. So we'll be covering these four topics alone. And so without further ado, let's start with first topic, that is Pyrocumulonimbus Clouds. Now, we have talked about wildfires, forest fires in USA and Canada. Now, forest fires in USA and Canada are not, it's not a new phenomena, but their frequency has increased, plus their scale has also increased. So their scale and frequency have increased, and it is all because of global warming. Now, these wildfires also lead to the formation of pyrocumulonimbus clouds, which further increase the instances of wildfires. So it further exaggerates, accentuates wildfire incidents in these areas. Okay. Now, what are these pyrocumulonimbus clouds? Is it the first time that these clouds are being formed on the North American continent? Or they have already been formed? Well, let me answer this question right away. They do form on the North American continent, but their frequency has increased in the recent years, again because of global warming. Now, these pyrocumulonimbus clouds are those clouds which do not emit that much of rain, but they emit fire. That's why they are named pyro. Pyro in Latin means fire. Okay? These clouds actually emit fire, or technically lightning. And their formation is pretty dangerous in that area where they're formed. Okay, so first let's talk about what are these clouds, okay, and how they are formed. So their technical name is Cumulonimbus flammagenitus, okay, but we call them Pyrocumulonimbus clouds in popular terminology, but their scientific name is this. Now, it is a type of cumulonimbus clouds that forms above a source of heat, such as wildfire, nuclear explosion, or volcanic eruption. So, wherever there is high heat, Okay, whenever there is a nuclear explosion, volcanic eruption, or wildfires, okay, these clouds are formed. Now, why are these clouds formed? Suppose there is this big source of heat. Okay, quite a lot of heat is being produced over here. So what happens is air in this area starts to rise because it is a hot air. It is hot air. Now, hot air along with it takes in the upper atmosphere. It takes along with it ash and water vapor. So what happens is that hot air along with ash and water vapor rapidly rises upwards. When it rises upwards, it cools down. This water vapor starts to condense and it condenses on these ash particles, which leads to the formation of these clouds. Okay. As air in the pyrocumulus clouds continuously rises upwards, it can eventually lead to rain, some amount of rain, but mostly thunder and lightning. Okay, so you understand, whenever there is a phenomena that generates high amount of heat on Earth, well, air along with ash and water vapor starts to rise rapidly, which leads to the condensation of water vapor on these ash particles, which leads to the generation of clouds. And these are dark clouds because ash is generally black or brown in color. So this water vapor condenses on these black and brown particles, which leads to the formation of dark clouds. Okay. Now let's delve a little deeper into the formation of pyrocumulonimbus clouds. So how are they formed? It involves three processes basically. Process number one is rise of air. So intense heat from the fire warms the surrounding air, which moves upwards in the atmosphere. So rapid rise of air. Then once the air rises above, it reaches significant height. It cools, water vapor condenses on the ash, forming gray and brown cloud. At this stage, the clouds that are formed are called pyrocumulus clouds. Okay, just remember, these are called pyrocumulus clouds. Now, if this process continues, then we reach the third stage. And what is this third stage? Formation of pyrocumulonimbus clouds. Now, cumulonimbus clouds are those clouds which are they have significant height. Okay, generally clouds form, the height of clouds is not that much. They are more horizontal, but cumulonimbus clouds are high also. Okay, but if there is sufficient water vapor available and the upward movement of hot air intensifies, pyrocumulus clouds can evolve into pyrocumulonimbus clouds. Okay, and when this happens, it leads to three consequences, or three things happen after pyrocumulonimbus clouds are formed. Number one, they produce a lot of lightning but not much of rain. Okay, so they emit fire in the form of lightning. Now, this lightning in different parts can generate their own wildfires. Okay, so first there was this wildfire, it generated cumulonimbus clouds, pyrocumulonimbus clouds, which emitted lightning and which led to wildfires in other areas, which can again lead to the formation of pyrocumulonimbus clouds in that area, and this process might go on and on. Okay, so it can spark new wildfires many kilometers away from the main wildfire blaze. These clouds can also trigger strong winds, okay, thunderstorm, lightning, and when the speed of wind is high, then these fires also spread to neighboring areas. So it can allow the wildfire to spread faster and in an unpredictable fashion. So this is all you need to know about pyrocumulonimbus clouds, and this disaster of sorts is going on in USA and Canada. It has happened before in USA and Canada, but their frequency and scale has increased, all because of global warming. Because global warming has led to higher frequency of incidents of wildfire in these areas. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to our next news item, which is Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskar. This is the first scientific award that is going to be held in 2024. Okay. So former director of Indian Institute of Science G. Padmanabhan, the team of Chandrayaan 3, Annapurni Subramaniam, who is the director of Indian Institute of Astrophysics, along with 30 others, have been selected for Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskar. Now, this is a new set of awards, okay, and it was instituted last year. This year would be the first such event, okay. Now, this was constituted after disbanding all the other scientific awards. So, all the other scientific awards are absorbed into this one award, including the very prestigious Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, which is a very high level of science award. That is also disbanded, and these new set of awards have been constituted. So 2024 is going to be the first time these awards are awarded. Now, Actually, this event gives four types of awards. Okay, first is Vigyan Ratna. So, like Bharat Ratna, Vigyan Ratna is given for lifetime achievement in the field of science. Then, like Padam Shri, they give Vigyan Shri for scientists of all ages for their scientific contributions. Then, to award young scientists who are less than 45 years of age, there is Vigyan Yuva. And these three awards are to recognize individual excellence. Okay, but at times, not at times, almost every time, scientific achievements are a team effort. For example, Chandrayaan 3. So, to award team effort, Vigyan team is given for collaborative research work. All right. So, remember these four types of awards under Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskar, and just remember they were constituted in 2023, and 2024 is going to be the first such award given. Okay. All right. Now let's jump to the main news item of the day. Everyone is heartbroken because of this, because we had hopes that Vinesh Fogat would get gold for India this time in wrestling. Wrestler Vinesh Fogat was disqualified after the official weigh-in. Okay, during the semi-finals, her weigh-in was proper and she won, and that's why she reached finals. But before every fight, before every bout, there is a weigh-in. Okay, now Tuesday, it was Wednesday. Yesterday was her match, but Tuesday she realized that she's 2 kg overweight. So in one day she had to lose 2 kgs, and she did that, but she faltered by just 100 grams. She belongs to the 50 kg weight category. In combat sports, basically, wrestlers, MMA fighters, boxers, weight categories are there to induce. Okay, because heavier person would definitely dominate a lighter person, so that is why there are weight categories. Now she belonged to 50 kg weight category. She reached 52 kgs after her semi-final fight. She had to lose 2 kgs in one day. She did almost lose 2 kgs in one day, but just faltered by 100 grams. Okay, now weight class is important in combat sports, not other sports, only combat sports like wrestling, boxing, judo, mixed martial arts. Okay, now what is a weigh-in basically? Because she failed in the weigh-in of the final match. Now what is a weigh-in? Now athletes in particular weight class have to weigh equal to or less than the stipulated weight. Now Vinesh Fogat was 50 kg plus 100 grams, and that is why she was disqualified. You can be either exact 50 kg or less than that. But you see, weight is never static. 100 grams you lose and gain in one day. Weight is never static. That is why before every fight, there is a weigh-in. Okay? These are designated times. Before every fight, there is a weigh-in. Alright? And she lost in the weigh-in of final match, where she was not assured, but she was assured of at least a silver medal. And she was hoping for a gold medal. Now that's a big heartbreak. Okay, she was definitely assured of a silver medal. Even if she would have lost, she would have been given a silver medal. But now, because she is disqualified, she won't even get a silver medal. Though Indian Olympic Association and Indian government have launched an appeal that she should at least be given silver medal. But let's see what happens. But as of now, she will not be given a silver medal also. Okay. Now look, many people say that these weigh-ins and weight cutting is a form of legalized cheating. Now, how is it legalized cheating? I'll tell you. To qualify for the weigh-in, heavier athletes, go for severe weight cutting in very short span of time. Severe weight cutting. Just before the weigh-in, they lose up to 5 kgs. Okay? And as soon as they go for their fight, they gain some weight and dominate. So, weight cutting is done by every combat sport athlete. In simple words, weight cutting involves athletes drastically reducing their weight in a short period of time, very short period of time, just before weigh-ins. Now, to lose that much amount of weight in a very short period of time, athletes have to stop drinking water. They carry out intense exercises. They use saunas, wear heavy clothing to release sweat and burn more calories. They don't even eat anything before their weigh-ins. Okay. Now, this type of weight cutting in a very short span of time is harmful for health also and mental fitness also. So many people are saying that we should ban weight cutting altogether. But this is a separate issue. Okay. This is something that you need to be aware of. All right. Okay. Now let's jump to our last news item, which is portal for technician entry. Now, straight away, let's jump to what was discussed in the news, and then I'll explain what this portal is all about. So, a portal to facilitate the approval of short-term business visas for Chinese technicians, essential for operationalizing production units and boosting output in sectors under government's flagship production-linked incentive scheme, has begun functioning. So, you all know about PLI scheme. Under PLI scheme, government is actually incentivizing manufacturers to increase their output, produce more goods, and use that increased output to export. All right. Now, Indian manufacturers depend on Chinese machinery in their factories. Okay, because Chinese machinery is cheap. All right. Now, to operate or train their workers on these Chinese machinery, they need technicians. Now, Indian manufacturers generally prefer Chinese technicians because, first of all, they're using Chinese machinery. Second of all, is that technicians from Western countries are quite expensive. Chinese technicians help you out in a cheap, at a cheap cost, cheaper cost. Okay, so that is why Indian manufacturers were asking for Chinese technicians because they had to fulfill their export orders. They had been given contracts for exporting items, but they couldn't produce that much because their technicians were not coming. Chinese technicians were not coming. And why were Chinese technicians were not coming? Because their visa got delayed, and their visas were getting delayed. Chinese people's visas were getting delayed because right now India and China are not best of friends. Okay, and especially the conflict in Galwan Valley, Indian government is very skeptical before giving a visa to any Chinese personnel, and that is why these Chinese technicians are getting delayed to come to India, and because of that, Indian exports are suffering, manufacturing exports. All right, that is what is happening. Now, India is quite dependent on China. There is heavy dependence on China for crucial parts, machinery, especially in electrical and electronic segments. We import around 100 billion of goods from China. Out of these 100 billion, 60 billion are engineering and electronic items, especially machinery. Now, Chinese technicians are sought after by Indian manufacturers as they are more affordable than technicians from other Western or even Southeast Asian countries like Korea, Japan. So, Chinese technicians are very cheap. So that is why Indian manufacturers were asking government of India that please fasten the process of visa allocation to these Chinese people. We need these Chinese people to produce more. And that is why government of India has created a portal, online portal to fasten the process of visas for these Chinese people. All right. Though Ministry of Home Affairs has trained all the ministries and departments to check which type of these technicians are coming. Are there any kind of security threats and all that stuff? Okay, but this is being done now. There was this another paragraph related to the need for Chinese investments in India. We need Chinese investments in India, though we are not best of friends with China. And because of that, foreign investments from China are not coming to India because Indian government is skeptical about that kind of investment. But Economic Survey and our chief economic advisor, they mentioned that we need Chinese investments to boost manufacturing. In fact, Vietnam, Taiwan, Korea, they also don't have very good relations with China. Okay? They are also skeptical of Chinese investments, but they are still using Chinese investments in their manufacturing sector to boost output, and then they use that output to export. So if Taiwan, which is enemy number one for China, is using Chinese investments to boost exports, why can't India do that? Okay? And Western countries who are importing goods from India, Vietnam, China, Taiwan, Korea, they are also looking for China plus one strategy, which means these Western countries were importing goods from China, but because they are not very friendly with China and they are not very confident about China, they are also looking for other countries from where they can import from. And that is why these Western countries have turned towards Vietnam, Taiwan, Korea, and countries like India, because they want to diversify from China. Now, India can take advantage of this China plus one strategy of Western countries if they boost their manufacturing. And to boost their manufacturing, they can get investments from China. Okay, so we shouldn't be looking at Chinese investments from that skeptical a lens. We should be more inviting towards Chinese investments at least, not people, if not people. All right. And on that note, we end today's lecture. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I hope it has added value to your preparation. Okay, but it'll add more value. I mention this every time I conclude my current affairs lecture. It'll add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture series. So be consistent, be regular. Thank you, everyone.